Hey everyone, on today's episode, we were talking about fitness, money, and marketing, how they're all tied together, and how instant gratification sucks when it comes to all three of those things. Check it out. Hey everyone, welcome back to Contractor Growth Network. I am Logan.
And I'm Alex.
And today is all about the idea of why businesses hate marketing. So I want to start off, Alex, with a question for you. So, how old are you, Alex?
24.
24. Alex is 24 years old. And Alex, at what age do you think you're going to retire?
That's a great question. I'll just say 65. We'll go with the standard.
Okay, so 65. So let's say, you're 24, you retire at 65, and you contribute every single month to your retirement $100, just $100. And let's say you start off with zero. So you literally have nothing, and you start off with $100 each month. And let's say each of those $100 gets invested into the S&P 500, which on average returns about 10% every year.
Mm-hmm.
How much money will you have when you retire? So, and just so you know, the total amount of money that you contribute between the age of 24 and you retire at 65 at $100 a month is $49,200. So how much money, because it's being invested and it's compounding, how much money will you actually have when you retire?
When I retire, so that's 40 years from now.
40 years from now, and you've contributed $49,200 over that time.
49,200. Oh man, you're making me do mental math on the spot here. I don't know. I can't do it in my head right now.
What's your best guess?
I'd say close to $1 million. I'd assume.
Yeah, it's $699,883. So effectively, you have $700,000. Okay. So by putting aside $100 a month and investing it, you get, you're contributing effectively of the $700,000. You're only contributing 7% of that total. So that means that your money is just working for you in the background. But the problem with why most people don't do that is because you want to keep that $100 for the now, right? You want to take that $100 and you want to spend it on movies, whatever it is. I mean, that's $25 a week. Do you think you could find an extra $25 a week that you could save?
Yeah, 100%. You can cut out some things and find $25 easy.
So the reason that people don't do it is because they don't immediately see all the benefits of this, right? They don't take the money and they don't put it aside because they can instantly go buy 2 movie tickets for the $25, or they can instantly go buy a 12-pack of really nice beer.
Yeah.
But it's not fun to just put money aside and then wait until you're 65 and actually have that thing, generate a good amount of money for you. Yeah. And that's the exact same thing when it comes to the world of marketing. Why does nobody want to put time or effort towards their marketing? Because it doesn't instantly change your immediate life.
Yeah. And also you're not really seeing the direct correlation, it happened really. Like someone's calling and then you have to do that work to ask them how they found you.
Right.
But most of it's your marketing, but it could have just been word of mouth, or it could have been a truck. There's just so many avenues that it could have came from, which all stems from marketing, but you have to dig deep for it. You know what I mean?
And this is why a lot of people really enjoy, to a certain extent, these lead generation sites, because they get you instant calls. And I would say there's probably 3 or 4 people I've ever talked to out of the, probably at this point, thousands, that have said, I do really well off those lead gen sites, because everybody else hates them because they're not good leads, they're not quality people, but because they instantly get leads, you're effectively gambling. And because you get immediate results of people hitting you up in your inbox, you're sold.
Yeah.
So you get, I mean, it's the same reason why people smoke crack.
Yeah.
It's, you know, if you say, hey, look, if you smoke this crack, man, you'll get high in about 8 months. Do you think you'd smoke
Mhm.
crack?
Nobody would.
No, nobody would, because you don't get an instant high.
Yeah.
So that today's topic is all about delaying gratification, what you need to go into your marketing like with realistic expectations, and understand that you can have small victories, but to actually build this thing out the right way, you're going to have to put aside the part of your brain that pushes for, if we do something, we should be rewarded right this very second. So
Mhm.
that's kind of the preamble to all of this. So some of the best things that in my mind when it comes to actually understanding, like, you know, how you have to delay gratification is signing up for the gym. So Alex, have you ever been like a very avid gym goer?
Yeah, I've been consistent. I've been a consistent gym goer for, I'd say, like six years now. I'd say, probably since high school.
So why do you go to the gym?
I go to the gym to try to stay in shape, and I was a very slim kid, not much muscle tone in high school, so I tried to gain as much muscle as I.
Okay. So you're trying to put on weight, and then for you, when you go to the gym and you try to put on weight, how long does it take you to actually then start to notice pretty significant gains?
Honestly, it like weeks or months. Honestly, like I had a conversation with myself. I haven't been going to the gym since this whole quarantine started, and I kind of just realized the effects of what the gym was going for like 3 months. I went consistently hard every day, every other day. So I was like, wow, I didn't even notice that while I was going to the gym. So it definitely, you see people online and like the bodybuilders and the athletes that, oh, they work out every day and they're like have some like big biceps and a nice muscle tone, but you're like on that, it kind of like demotivates you because like I'll never look like that because I've been going for 6 years and I don't look like that. So
And that's one of those things that when people first start going to the gym again, like, so I am big into the CrossFit world. And when people first come off the street and they go into CrossFit, they immediately love it because they they'll go from doing nothing, and then it seems
yeah.
like every week if you squat again, somehow your max goes up, but you're not
Mhm.
actually building strength. You're not getting stronger, you are just getting used to the movements and you're becoming more flexible, which allows you to lift more. But it's not like you're actually getting stronger. But what we think is, we think, oh wow, I'm getting stronger, this CrossFit stuff is amazing, I'm going to stick with it. And then what happens is, as soon as we finally hit that threshold of we're now flexible enough, and we hit that threshold of, okay, now our body's used to it, then we get into a bit of a slump and we go,
Mhm.
well, I don't get it. Like I was making, you know, I was jumping up 10 pounds every week. Why am I not continuing to get better? Why am I, you know, maybe I'm just out of it. Maybe I had to try something different. But that is when your actual strength building starts. And it's no different
Yeah.
than if you went out right now and you went to go try to run a mile as fast as you can. And each week you go out and you try to run another mile as fast as you can, you will slowly get better because you're getting more used to it. Your lungs are getting more used to it, but it's not like you're necessarily getting faster. Your body's just now adapting to it. And eventually you're going to find that sticking point where you're like, oh, wow. You know, the first time I did it in 10 minutes, and then 9:15, and then 8:45, and then 8:20. And then you get to that, you know, let's say 7 minutes, and then maybe you drop a second,
Mhm.
but you're not actually
Yeah.
getting faster. You're now having to find other ways to do it. And that is what happens with the world of marketing, where what you do is you first start to post on Facebook, right? Or you send out an email to your past customer list. And because you send out one email and you get a bunch of leads, it's not like your email marketing stuff is necessarily super effective now. It's just that
Yeah.
you're reminding people that have forgotten about you that you're alive.
Yeah.
So you get that instant boom. People call you up, you get a bunch of leads, and that's great. And then you send the second one out and you get some more leads. And you send the third one out and you get a couple leads. Then you send the fourth one out and maybe get one lead. And then you get to the fifth one and now nobody responded to your email. And you go, well, I guess we got to pivot again.
Yeah, it's like whenever you first join social media and everybody sees that your name is now on social media and you get that notification. So you get an influx of like 100, new followers and new people that but like they want to follow you. And then you go like for the next 2 months, now you barely have like 1 or 2 here or there, and it slows down dramatically. Like that's kind of what it is. It's like you like everything like at the gym and everything at first you're gonna see it, oh wow, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting like, more built, but then you kind of like your body plateaus a little bit just because it's now used to it and it's getting like, you need to keep pumping it with different, change it up a little bit.
And a lot of people, and especially right now with this quarantine, is because the phone is not ringing. We're thinking, well, maybe we shouldn't be doing all these blogs and we shouldn't be doing all this content and things like that. So we're in a good position as a marketing company where we can see what's actually happening because we understand the numbers of Facebook and how many emails we're getting and things like that. But if you are doing this yourself, you're probably noticing that nobody's calling you. So why would you bother spending your time and effort into this instead of looking at this as the long game? The same way that when you first go on a diet, the first thing you do is say you cut out carbs, you drop 10 pounds in 2 weeks and you're like, this is the greatest thing ever. But what you forget is, carbs, a gram of carbs holds 4 grams of water. So you're really just losing water weight because now you've just lost however, whatever your deficit of carbs are, I think it's like, if the math is working well, you lost 4 times that amount in water. So all you've done is drop water weight. So you're not actually getting skinnier, you just drop the water weight, and it's like a false high that you go on.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit on our last podcast about YouTube. Like your first 100 subscribers are going to be different than your next 100 subscribers, and that's kind of how like marketing works. It's one ad out there will get you 50 leads, we'll say, and that's great. And then a month and a half go by, 2 months, and it starts going down like 25 and then 10. It's because people have seen that. So it's like the switch up is switching up your ad and switching up your angle, switching up your deal, whatever you're promoting to entice the newer audience that might have skipped over that last time is going to not skip over this time.
And with all this Facebook stuff and ads, a lot of why these courses and programs out there, why people sell a lot of stuff, is because they focus on products that there's not too much crazy overhead with it. So let's say like the Blueprint program, for example, right? If we have one person in the program, or if we have 1,000 people in that program, we're still running webinars, and the webinars can be done at mass scale. So it's still the same amount of effort on my behalf, whether I'm doing it for one person or 1,000 people. So I can play around with that, or I can play around with the price of what something like this is going to cost. I have the ability to say, I will give this to you for 50% off, and maybe I'll lose, I'll definitely lose money on the front end, but I can make it up on the back end. And these big time promotions like that will get people to jump. But a car dealership, a contractor, they can't give 50% off of a car or of a kitchen remodel, because they'll go out of business, because they'll be doing the work effectively for free or at a loss, hoping that they can make it up on the back end. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong when they think that, they see these courses, they see these ads online, and they go, oh, well, this will work for me because it works for so-and-so. And I know that they're selling, like courses, or they're selling widgets or something like that, or they're selling a dog box subscription model, but those people can afford to give you your first month for free because they're losing $50. But if you give somebody their first kitchen for free, you're missing out on $75,000. And how are you going to make that up?
Yeah, I mean, for us, like, you do all the selling. So like, what are some, like, when people call you up, what's like their level of knowledge about marketing? What's their big objections of why they haven't done it themselves, or they want to outsource?
Yeah, so a good question. So some of the biggest ones that I get are, one, I don't know how this stuff works. So it's just a lack of knowledge, which is totally understandable. right? This is not a commonality. And then the second biggest one, I would say it's even bigger than the first one, is they started it and then they didn't have the consistency to keep going, right? Let's say they call us up because they want to do blogging. Well, they started blogging and they have 8 halfway done blogs. But if you would have known, hey, look, if you write a blog and you hit send and go live and you're going to get 8 leads immediately, they will keep up with the blogs. But because it's the long-term stuff, that it's like going on a nice and simple diet, right? If you knew that if you had a salad for lunch today instead of having a cheeseburger, and if you had that salad and today you would lose 5 pounds, you would have a salad all the time. But because it doesn't work like that, it's way harder because you have to have a salad today to maybe lose 5 pounds over the next month.
Yeah.
And consistently have a salad.
Sorry, yeah, there's no silver bullet. Like immediately you do this one thing and you're gonna get influx of work for all of eternity. That's marketing's not like that.
Correct. And you can do it that way, where if you want a quick influx, but you're gonna have to really understand your promotions, and you're gonna have to do a lot of that. And that, I mean, if you knew how to do that stuff, then really, really well, like where like the top dogs do it, I mean, that's hard. I mean, that's super, very tough, and your brand has to be there. Like everybody has to know who you are, and then you have to give a lot of it away. Unfortunately, you have to, it's like it's this give and take relationship where if Tony Robbins has a program and he says, yep, come to my speaking engagement for $5,000, you have a much better chance of going to that because it's Tony Robbins and you have known him your whole life.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody that you have no idea who that is, it's a lot harder to get somebody to go there because they don't recognize the brand. They have no idea who you are. And that's where you have to run a promotion and go, hey, look, usually this class is $5,000, but because we're stuck in quarantine, I can't do this in person, but I'm going to do it online. We're going to do it for $200 and just try to reach as many people as we can. That's why promotions will work, because people go, well, shoot, I'm getting $5,000 normally for only $200. That's worth it. But if it's Tony Robbins, he could still say, hey, look, usually this is $5,000 and we're going to do it online, and we're going to now do it again for $5,000 because of Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
So
do you think most people like only think marketing is promotional offers and that way, and they don't think of marketing as building your brand just natural, like who you are, what you've done in the past, not necessarily making an offer?
The way that I interpret it from a lot of people is they look at marketing as the ability to directly generate leads, and they look at branding as overall, like literally branding, like long-term, and branding's not even meant to like a lot of people don't understand the relationship between branding and generating leads. So the more well-known your brand is, the easier it is for you to sell your stuff and generate those leads. So Tony Robbins comes out with a course that is all, let's say Tony Robbins has a whole seminar. What does Tony Robbins do, Alex?
He's a motivational speaker, isn't he?
Yes. He also has a book that's all about how to make money. But he's not known for being a financial planner or a banker, but because he's Tony Robbins and he comes out with something that's all about how to become wealthy, you buy it because of who he is. And that's the same thing as branding. So when you have these brands and your brand is established, it doesn't matter what you sell. The more established of a brand you are, the more likely it is that people will buy whatever it is that you have to offer, which is exactly why with Premier Ponds, when they say to people, oh, we also do lighting, like exterior lighting, people go, well, we've used you for a long time. We like you. So yeah, we're in. And I bet if they said, actually, we're starting a whole division of kitchen remodeling, they would have a much better chance because people know who they are, they trust them, they like them. And a lot of people forget that the branding stuff, which really is long-term, that directly affects the amount of leads that you can bring in. But because the branding stuff doesn't immediately generate this instant smoke crack, instant gratification, then they don't want to do it. I mean, Alex, how do you measure the ROI of getting a logo done?
Getting a logo done?
Yeah, let's say you have
If
a logo for your company and you get it redone and you get it looking nicer. How do you measure the ROI on that?
it's very hard to measure that. It's
I have no idea. Like, I have no idea how you would measure it. Like, right. You know, because like it's like I would be shocked if you just get your logo redone and you boom, sales go up 100%.
unless people think you're a brand new company and they go, "Oh, I'm so glad you started business like 2 days ago when you made this new logo." Then I don't know. It's impossible. There's no statistic that can tell you that.
Right, but it's like those little things actually do make a big difference, but because they don't immediately move the needle, people bail.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
100%. But
it's tough.
so like as you were saying that, all I could think of is sports. And I grew up in New York, so a big Yankee fan. But the Yankees never really do promotional offers. They do like you know come to the ballpark, get a toy, get a bobblehead night. But as long as I was a kid, there was never any of that growing up. But they don't have to. They're the New York Yankees. You know, when you go there, they're going to win. They can charge $10 for a pulled pork sandwich because of the Yankees. You go to Tampa Bay Rays, their ballpark's never full. Like they have to pull out. Like you get a bobblehead every night. You get $3, $1.50 hot dog. All these deals to get you in the ballpark to come out, and that's because you don't want to see a team lose, and they're known for losing. It's the same thing. Like if you build your brand to a great contracting company, and you guys do high quality work, you're trustworthy, and people are going to flock to you. You don't want to be the Rays. You want to be the Yankees. That they're going to go and they know they're going to get a winning kitchen, a winning paint job, a winning pond, all that stuff.
And unfortunately, a lot of people they don't want, like, they're not willing or have the discipline to do that. They're unable to stick with it. I mean, this is like, I bet you if you did a poll of, let's say, successful business owners, and you polled and you figured out the relationship between their body fat percentage and how much money they make, I bet you there is a direct correlation, because those people that are in better shape because they handle their own health better, they're probably more disciplined in that. They're probably more disciplined in their business. They're probably better off. And it's just, I'm sure it's to the nth degree, versus those that are way obese. They probably don't do as well, because if they can't handle their health, they probably won't, they're not as disciplined across the board either. So this is why you always hear of these CEOs that get up at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, because they have the discipline for that. But it's not like you become a CEO, then you all of a sudden get up at 4 in the morning. This is just something that you had in you, and they understand that getting up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I mean, we had Anthony Iannarino on our podcast, and he talked about he gets up every day at 4:30 to write a blog, and I think he's like missed like 11 days in the past 10 years.
Wow.
He wakes up Christmas, every day, literally. And he said that it was only because he was on vacation somewhere and he didn't think that he was going to have like an internet connection, so he didn't bring his computer, and it turns out he actually had it. But every single day he has written that, and it's not like he became a famous speaker and then started writing a blog. It was, he wrote the blog, and then in turn, because the blog has become so popular, people invite him, and now he can charge what he wants and the leads come in, versus him being a nobody.
Yeah, and I guarantee you his first few blogs, his first even year of blogging, since he's been doing it for so long, they sucked probably, and they weren't.
And nobody read them.
Nobody read them. Probably got no leads off of it. It was nothing. And now he's done this for what, 10 years, 12 years. Like this is now he's built such a big brand that people are just gonna hear that name and they're like, oh yeah, 100%. I'll buy whatever he's selling. It's the same thing.
So the best thing to do with this stuff, and to kind of bring it all back and tie it all together as far as instant gratification, is understand some of these little mini micro metrics. And what we mean by that is, instead of writing a blog or putting out a Facebook post and immediately measuring the amount of leads that you got, the amount of revenue that you've got, understand that, let's say you put a video on Facebook and you see you got 5 views. And then the next day you put another video on Facebook and you got 6 views. Well, it's only one more view, but it's 20% more, right? Imagine if you had 20% more revenue in your business right now, right? So that's understanding those little micro pieces is really what it comes down to, because that's also, the idea of a leading versus a lagging metric. Do you know what those are, Alex? Leading versus lagging?
Faintly. I feel like a leading metric, if I'm right, is actually I'm not even gonna try. I'm not gonna confuse people. Just tell me what leading versus lagging is.
It's more so of like what you can control versus what you cannot. So in a
Okay. Yep.
business, your profit loss statement, which is how much money have you actually put in your pocket at the end of the day, that's a lagging metric. Because that is something that is a direct result of how many leads you got, how much you're able to sell off of those leads, right? So it's really what are you able to control. So a leading metric would be how many videos are you putting out every single week on Facebook, right? And then from there, you're gonna have the background of the back end of how many views did we get, and then from the amount of views, and it starts to grow over time. That's something that you need to really start to look at, instead of looking at just, I put a video out, how many leads did I get? I take a hit, how high did I get? Versus, actually understanding, what, like the little basic stuff that nobody likes to look at. But when you actually start to understand that stuff, you can actually see the trends moving forward, and you can go, okay, we haven't generated any leads yet, but what we have noticed is we've added 200 people to our email list this month. So that means that there's 200 more people that are getting our, twice a week email. And then we know from there that half those people are opening up all of our emails. So that means that we actually have 100 people every single week seeing, so, and you can like kind of reverse engineer it, and then you realize, oh wow, we actually have, 20 people every email that we send out from this month actually are watching our YouTube videos, which means that they're getting more in tune with our brand. So they haven't called quite yet, but we know what they're doing is promoting us in their eyes. So just understanding like those little micro metrics of that stuff will get you very far.
Yeah.
And relying on those.
Yeah, it just sounds like it sounds like overwhelming, but the whole point of marketing is a long-term type play, like it took years for Ford, Pepsi, Coke to embed their brand into your mind for you to know them as well as you do. You just don't think of it because they've been around for hundreds of years. But for your brand, it does take a little while, but it's continuing to beat the dead horse bit almost. It's just continuing to push forward. And I mean, it takes what, 28 days to have a habit? If you just make a habit of learning something about marketing, or, being more invested in marketing in a month, you'll be addicted to it. And then 10 years later, you're going to be, you're going to thank yourself for 10 years before you for putting the discipline, the time into learning how to do this stuff. And your business is probably 10 times, if not larger, than what it was.
You just need like a quick win. And unfortunately, unless like, and that's why people love the email marketing stuff that we do, because if we email the past customer list, boom, they get people that are reminded again. But for this thing to actually work, and we talk about that, we say, look, at first you're gonna get older people hitting you up, and it's gonna be a lot of good quick wins, and you're gonna love it. And then by the fifth email that we send out, you're gonna wonder, why is nobody buying? And it's not because they don't wanna buy or they hate you now, it's because we've already exhausted those that all you had to do was just blink and get in their vision for a second, and they're gonna buy. So it's the same thing with money. It's the same thing with dieting. It's delaying off that instant gratification. Running those Facebook ads. It's $5. You can run it for $5 a day and get in front of your ideal demographic, 1,000 of those people every single day for $5. And
I'm sorry, so I guess for a big fear for people is where to start. So what's something they could do to maybe possibly get that quick win to get them hooked?
Literally, the email out all your past customers right now, and just, I mean, literally, like, you can email whatever you want. You can just say, hey, I'm still alive, and they're gonna go, oh yeah, that's right. So that's a very good chance or a very good opportunity for that, because unfortunately there are no silver bullets with this, like with sales, right? I think it's easier to sell the idea of a sales system, because with sales, you can teach somebody how to overcome an objection. In the next sales call they go on, the other person on the other end goes, well, I got to talk to my spouse. And then you go, okay, what specifically do you need to talk to them about? And they go, yeah, I guess you're right, actually, there's not much, huh? And I'm like, yeah, cool, all right, got it, so let's go move forward. But with marketing, there is none of that, aside from, in my mind, or what we've seen is emailing the past customers. That's a quick win, but you also have to understand, in your book, what is a quick win? Is it generating a bunch of revenue? Is it generating a bunch of leads? Is it adding a bunch of people to your newsletter list? Is it just getting in front of a bunch of more, a new set of people with your videos and going for the branding? So I think you have to understand what your definition of a quick win is. And then from there, when you first start out, understand that your quick wins, your metric is not actually going to be how many leads have I generated, but that's why people love Home Advisor, Angie's List, not for the fact that they generate a bunch of good leads, it's for the fact that they just generate a bunch of leads.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like what your quick win is. I think for some people it might be, my quick win is I want to generate, X amount of leads by this one email. And then that may be an option for you to say, okay, maybe then you need to outsource this because clearly you don't have the patience, or you don't think, you're not up to speed with it. You don't want to, learn and take the time to do it. But if someone's quick win is to add people to the newsletter, that might dictate that they're willing to take the slow risk and say, I just want them to get my brand out in their email. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
It does, and this is why, like if you were to switch over, let's say for the gym, let's say you want to lose weight. If your leading versus lagging metric was, your lagging metric, meaning the one that's the result, is going to be, did you lose weight, yes or no? Your leading metric can be, did I go to the gym today, yes or no? And if that's all you measure, where every day, let's say you measure, do you know what the average is, the amount of calories you need to burn to lose a pound of weight?
No, I don't.
It's about 3,500 calories. So if you ingest 3,500 calories more in a week than you burn, you're going to go up a pound. If you have deficit, you're going to go down a pound. So if you say, look, every day, let's say you count your calories and you know that you went to the gym every day and you were at a calorie deficit overall for the day, that is something that you can control. You can control what you eat. You can control how many calories you burn at the gym, but it's harder to control your overall weight without knowing what is going into your body, how much you're burning. So by switching over to the leading metrics, meaning, look, I'm not going to worry about how much weight I'm going to lose this week. All I'm going to focus on is the amount of calories that I'm going to burn at the gym every day, and I'm going to focus on what I'm putting into my body, and the science or the math will work out. So if you properly count calories and you know that stuff, unless there's something weird with your body, which sometimes that's the case, but for like 90% of people out there, your body will adhere to this calories in, calories out system, and you'll be able to know how much weight are you going to lose this week. So it's just switching up what you're actually focusing on, because if all you do is focus on how many actual leads are coming in the door, then you're never really going to know, especially in this climate with Facebook and Instagram and email and websites and word of mouth and yard signs and truck wraps, and there's so many different ways that people actually recognize who you are or where they see you, that maybe they've been seeing your Facebook videos every day for a year, and then they see your yard sign and they go, oh, well, let me call them up. And you go, well, how'd you hear about me? And they're like, oh, I saw your yard sign. And then you go, well, why am I doing all this Facebook video stuff? But they forget to tell you that, oh, although also I've seen your videos on Facebook for a full year, and that's how I felt comfortable enough to actually give you a call.
Yeah, that's why I think it's the hardest. That's the hard part about understanding marketing, is just because there's so many different avenues for people to see your brand and see you. But that also makes it addicting, as in the marketing field, because I want to get that person that just saw your truck to say, first, I saw your YouTube channel. Like that's what I want to get in front of them more. But it all comes back to, you're right, everybody's different. You just need to have that clear goal of what your goal is, and then that's how you can narrow down all these marketing services to what really makes sense for your goal.
Yes. How do you reverse engineer your end goal? Because if your end goal is to build your brand or to make more money, whatever it is, reverse engineer that all the way back to what's step one. And step one could be, oh wow, I actually need a way, for people to notice who I am. And that's where videos come in. So now your new metric is not money. Your new metric is, let's produce videos. My new metric is, how many videos on Facebook am I going to put up a week? And then once you get in the rhythm of doing that, you now start to measure, okay, great. Let's actually look at how many people or how many views these videos get. And then that is the new metric that you obsess over. And then once you get from that, so like the first thing that we did with our YouTube, for example, is first let's obsess over how many videos we're putting up every single week. And then once we got there, now we're looking more at like the amount of views per video. And then from there, we go, okay, how many subscribers are we gonna have on YouTube? But without understanding, or at least going for that first metric of something we can control how many videos we put up. We can't control how many people are gonna subscribe to us on YouTube. So if we nail the controllables, then we nail the result of the controllables, then the results of those will come as well. And it now just becomes a math equation of, we know for every one video we put up, we're gonna get X subscribers, because we kind of dialed that in, but we didn't jump into, oh, let's figure out the subscribers. We did the reverse, we did the opposite, because we knew to get more subscribers, we had to figure out what that math equation is on video.
Yeah, it's as simple as, if you don't have a clear goal in anything you do, most likely you're going to quit, or you're not going to reach that full potential that you need to achieve that goal. Because it's if it's a loose goal, like, oh, I just want to see where this goes, you're never going to finish. You're never going to finish the race. You're never going to, if you're running and you're training for something but you have no goal, it's like, what are you training for at the same time? You know what I mean?
Yes, there's that famous quote that's, the pilot is flying and they're going, yeah, all these gauges don't work. We have no idea where we are, but we're making great time. Right, like it's great, but you don't know, like you're not measuring anything. You don't know where you're trying to go. And sometimes it seems daunting to know where you're trying to go. And by going, this is what you have to reverse engineer, but just like, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time, focus on those mini micro metrics. So that is kind of like what the whole goal of this blueprint is to get it in a little bit more of a routine, as far as like, first, before you put all this stuff out there, figure out what services you actually want to provide. And then from there, focus on step one, the website. You can't control how many leads you're gonna generate off your website, but what you can control is what you put on that website. And your metric for that is, yes or no, is my website set up to sell? And then once you go through all that, you go, yes, it's done. Now that's out of your, that is something you can control. It's done, move on. The next thing is, from there, how many people actually turn into, let's say, a lead from your website. So now that you've already controlled yes or no, the stuff is set up right, now you can work on tweaking it to figure out how to get more people that are on your website to then turn into a lead. And then from there, you figure out, how do I actually get people to my website? So it's really just reverse engineering the whole process, but you can only focus on one metric at a time. And if all you do is focus on the end product, then you're gonna miss steps 1 through 8 to get to step 9.
Yeah, my dad went through this type of philosophy a few years back, where he changed one of his truck wraps to the website he just had built. So he wanted to add more traffic to the website. So instead of it saying Big Tim's on the side, it just had the website. And he changed it like a blank white truck instead of like a usual like yellow and red colors. But while it worked that more people were seeing the truck and going to the website to order instead of calling, they thought it was a different company and didn't recognize it with Tim's. So essentially, he didn't really consider it a failed experiment because it got more traffic to him, but they didn't know where they were getting the oil from. So it was kind of a moot point, where it didn't, his end goal was correct, and I want more people to go to the website. It's just, that specific avenue didn't quite pan out the way he wanted it to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. So it's exactly like that. But he also, like, that's something that he can control, which is the truck wrap, right? That is something that he can directly affect. And I think that's why people love the truck wrap stuff, because it's something they see every day. They can put their 2 cents into it, those sorts of things. So, yeah, I guess just to kind of wrap all this stuff up is, with the money, you can control how much money you save every week. You can't control what the stock market's going to do when you invest your money in it. You can't control how much money you're going to have at the end of it all, because, again, you don't know what the stock market's going to do. But what you can control is the amount of money that you save and put into that every week. You can control what goes into your body. You can control if you smash that like button. You can control if you exercise, and you can control how many videos you put out and what you say. But you can't change the algorithm of YouTube, even though it likes when you hit the smash the like button. But you can control what you're actually putting on there.
Yeah. Now, control what you control. Everything in life, that quote is that works for everything in life. So why would you not apply it to this?
So you just have to repivot your instant gratification from, am I getting a bunch of leads, over to, am I getting a bunch of views? And before that, am I getting this up, yes or no? Because I don't think here's the thing about, like, owning a business, and I'll end on this, is we're not afraid to put ourselves out there for the most part and be seen. We're afraid to put ourselves out there and be seen when we're small. So if we've made it, we look at these big time gurus and we go, wow, I would love to be there. And we know that like Gary Vaynerchuk, we know what it takes is to post all the time. And if I had a following of 5 million people, I would post all the time, not a big deal. But I don't have that, and I'm afraid of being seen when I only have a following of 5 people.
Yeah.
So that's the fear that we all have, is that, I'm not going to be seen as this $5 million influencer or 5 million person influencer. I'm going to be seen as this 5-person influencer. But if we focus on, okay, take that to the side, and our goal this week is to put out 5 videos. And then once we get the 5 videos down, now let's focus on how do we get from 5 influencers to 6 influencers, or 6 people. And then you just kind of work the system from there. So yeah, I don't know if that all makes sense, but it's just really just reverse engineer the whole thing. Change what you're instantly gratified by. Don't worry about what's going to happen of the stuff that you cannot control, because you cannot control it.
No, it made sense to me. It was the 20 rounds of Gary V's, they don't just come out of the womb, Gary V and Tony Robbins. They built that up, and they probably didn't post as much as they do now back then. Something had to flip for them. So it made sense. It's definitely a fear for, I think, a lot of people. They don't want to seem like they don't know what they're talking about, because they're posting excess to what people think they should be posting. So
exactly, and it's, I don't want to send out too many email newsletters to customers because I don't want to annoy them. Well, if you knew every email that you sent out, you got 10 leads that came back, or you got 50 people that responded saying great newsletter, you would send it out as much as you can. So it's just, you're not confident in what you're doing. So yeah, we'll kind of leave it on that. Long story short, instant gratification is not one of those things that if you can delay that, whether it's your marketing with your business, if it's saving for the future, if it's losing weight, pivoting on what your instant gratification is, reward yourself for the effort and not just the result, which is one of my favorite things to talk about, then you're going to make it. But if all you do is focus on, did this one little thing that I did today, this one little effort, that result in me getting this grandiose end thing that I want, you're never going to make it, because you're always going to continuously beat yourself up, or quit before you start and never get there. So Alex, any final words?
Find that participation trophy for the day, or for that goal.
That's all it is. So guys, thank you very much. If you enjoyed this and you listen on our podcast, do us a favor, please just drop a review below. That is our instant gratification. We can control if we put this podcast out, but what we cannot control is whether you guys are enjoying it or not. So please let us know in the reviews. Super helpful. And if you're on YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you very much. See you guys next time.